Okay, so let's start. My name is Sergey Petrunia. I am a member of MariaDB Query Optimizer team. One of the things we have been working on currently is Query Optimizer hints, which give fine optimizer control and compatibility. Before we talk about what hints bring to the table, let's look at what we had before, like traditional ways to control the query optimizer that we haven't had for a few versions or for many versions already that come from MySQL. There were index hints where you could use just like force index, ignore index hint after the table name. Then there are join order hints where you can specify either strike join to just tell the optimizer to join tables in the order you have them in your query, or you could use strike join syntax to join individual tables one after another. Join order and index hints were the only things that you could like have directed. You could also you had also global settings, like there are session variables, the most important being optimizer switch, where you could turn individual optimizations on and off. That, however, lacked precision, because if you turn it an optimization off, it just was turned off for all places in your query. You couldn't tell to run one subquery with materialization and the other one without. It just turned it globally off. There were a few other variables controlling the optimizer that had the same effect. And this was, now let's see what the new style hints bring to the table. New style hints look like this, here in green. There is a special comment after the query's main keyword, be it select, update, delete, or whatever. And then this is a comment with the plus sign, and there you describe with several hint directives what do you want to do. There are many more hints than just index or join order, a total about 20. They cover what old style hints did and much more. And they can apply individually to certain query block, or, well, select certain table or certain index. Where does this syntax come from? Initially, the syntax, I believe, comes from Oracle database. It was there before it was in MySQL, definitely. And in MySQL, it was introduced starting from MySQL 5.7, where it was limited, and then expanded in MySQL 8.0. MySQL inherited the syntax and some of the concept. However, the hints themselves are not compatible with Oracle database, which is kind of logical, because the MySQL optimizer is quite different from Oracle one, so it would be surprising if hints for Oracle one fit into MySQL. So no, the hints are quite different, and also even interpretation is quite different. So we can say that MySQL hints were like inspired. One other database that got similar hints was TIDB. They are compatible. They're trying to be compatible with MySQL to some extent. They use compatible syntax. Their optimizer is, however, different. So again, they only inherit like the idea. They don't try to be like syntax compatible. So in MariaDB, we had this traditional way, which was quite limited, and then what was the need for hints? I think these were like two, maybe roughly the same parts of it. One of them is that indeed we needed finer optimizer control behind old style hints, and we wanted there was also a request to be compatible with MySQL. be compatible, but probably not bug for bug compatible, not 100%, but still allow some basic, some reasonable degree of hinting. We can notice that MariaDB is also has optimizer with quite a few differences from MySQL one, so we can't really have the same hits. So now MariaDB is getting new style hints. We started in initial implementation is in MySQL 12.0, where we supported just hint syntax, then join order hints, subquery optimization control hints, and some access methods hints. This is now in a stable release. In 12.1, the set of hints were expanded, index use and control for most optimization. And this is area is has yellow background, so I think up to 12.1 we have some reasonable support. So if you have 12.0 like hints, you may find that they are lacking the implementation. That the implementation is not really complete. In 12.1, that looks like a reasonable, it is already usable set of optimizations, but there are still some gaps, yes. In 12.2, which is under development and not releases yet, we are working on the hinting for remaining optimizations, and some things that I will cover later in this talk. Well, if I think there will be something left to do after 12.2 as well to improve, but this set will already be like good for most users. And then the hints will be usable for further work with the optimizer. So let's do a hint walkthrough. Index hints syntax looks like this. Select, and then you have this hint comment where you have table and index names. There are 4 index, and they map closely the old style hints. So it's if there's a prefix no, then it's ignore index for group, by for order, for join, or force index. Note that that old hint syntax actually has also use index, which has a slightly different meaning from force index. Is that it? Force index also tries to force index like makes the using no index is very expensive, while use index doesn't have that. It's interesting that MySQL didn't support this, it didn't provide any equivalent to use index, and we followed that it doesn't seem to be very popular. So this is a direct equivalent to force index. There is some caution that in MySQL, if you have any hints, if a table has any hints in the new syntax, they just ignore silently all hints in the old syntax, no matter whether you had them or not. We trying to be compatible, we follow this, although perhaps we should have a warning here. At the moment we don't. That's still like up to review. That moment we just follow what MySQL did here. Then come join order hints. Join order hints follow the they serve as a replacement for strike join or, well, individual strike join hints. The idea is that you can specify the join order in the hint parameter. Join fixed order is basically the same like strike join, just it has no parameters. You just say that this is just run the join in the order the tables are written. Join order is more interesting. It allows you to specify the order of the tables, like here T1 should follow T2, should follow T3, or here TBL3, TBL2, T1. If there are any other tables in the join, they can be anywhere in the gaps, anywhere between these tables. The optimizer allows them. So this is already more flexible than straight join syntax. Then there are prefix, which can be useful, and suffix, which I have not seen to be useful, but MySQL had that, so we have it as well. These hints are like follow it. The optimizer follows this prescription quite produces query plan in the order as specified, unless outer join dependency is prevented from doing that. Well, what are the other any like benefits? Well, this is easier to write than straight join because when you try to rewrite the queries using straight join syntax, it's sometimes it's not trivial to do because typical complex query has own expressions, so and it may have outer joins. The optimizer can convert some outer joins into inner, and if it does so, then you need to do it in your syntax as well. Then you need to move conditions from one on expression to another. So rewriting the workflow is typically like if we get a large query that picks a join order and we try to use a straight join syntax, we swap the tables and we end up with the query which well looks similar, but it's not trivial to say whether the new query is identical to the old one, because the conditions and tables are moving around heavily, and some conditions are even like even some optimizations are done like manually, conversion of outer join to inner, for example. While here, if you give it one hint, if you leave the query as it was before and you leave it just and you add one extra hint, that gives us one much more confidence that the query, the written query, is basically has the same semantics like the old one. It's just a new hint, as opposed to query with all tables reordered. What there is certain gotcha that both MySQL and MariaDB have optimizations. We call them subquery merges, where the contents of derived table is merged into the parent select. So here we take like one select, here's a join between two tables. Initially, in the variant above, they are called TBL1 and TBL2. The aliases are different. That's fine. SQL allows that, and you see them. But what if we wrap here table TBL2 in the subquery in the derived table? Here it's called TBL1 inside the subquery, and we alias it to TBL2 upwards. Here we see that there are two tables, TBL1 in the top level. So if you write the hint and the semi-join transformation for where in select clauses are processed in a similar way, where the tables can be pulled up into the parent select and they keep the aliases that they had down there in their original select. So what happens here that we recently discovered it. Here is like a basic example. If we create view v1 from table t1 and we run a query like this, no index, there is one instance of t1 directly in the top level select and one T1 participating here implicitly by being in the view V1, which is resolved via merging in the same process like in the previous slide. And here the rule becomes even so convoluted that no index hint will apply to the T1 that is outside the view. While the join prefix hint, if you hear demand, oh, there's T1A here. This hint will apply to table T1 that is inside the V1. This is an artifact of how hint resolution done. It is done here. MariaDB here follows MySQL, so we get bug-for-bug compatibility here, and there are some counterintuitive rules. I use it here a view showing that it can be surprised, because if you are looking at the top level query and you are trying to force, for example, table T1 to be first, you need to watch out that there is no table with the same alias inside the view you are using, because that might get in your way. We follow, again, MySQL has it. I'm not sure if they recognize this as a problem or not. We got that because we basically followed the approach that they were using. So this is even like poor design. Well, I'm not sure if we will decide to disallow that eventually. Like, suggestion is to allow, to just avoid this situation for now. Further in this talk, we will discuss how one can do that. So this was about join. We covered join order hints. Now let's talk about other hints. There are hints for cost-based optimizations. They always come in pairs. There is, for example, hint bk to use bk. Yes? Did someone say anything? Okay, no. And no bk to disallow use of bk. No hints are easy. They just disable use optimization. Hints which specify to use optimization, well, that's kind of best effort basis. We will talk about that in a few slides. These are cost-based optimizations, so the decision to whether to use this optimization is normally the optimizer would use cost and pick the cheaper one. You see that MariaDB doesn't support skip scan optimization because it doesn't have it. MySQL does. Then MariaDB has row ID filter and split materialized, which split materialized is done. Row ID filter is in progress for 12.2. So the important optimizations are covered. Is it, are these a complete set? Well, these are, I would say, everything that we think that we'll get everything that one would reasonably want to tune. There are some switches in the optimizer which are not there. For example, subquery cache isn't in the list because we never had encountered anyone wanting to tune it ever. Well, this list lacks subquery optimizations. They have their own slide because there are many of them, and they have special hint syntax, and they have similar properties as cost-based, except that you can specify also strategy. For subquery, you can specify whether you use materialization or into exists, and it will follow your directions. For semi-join, you specify which strategy you want to use it in some query block, and again it will try to follow the optimizer will use best effort in trying to construct a query plan as specified. Here the optimizations are close between databases. We follow them closely and extending it to where MariaDB has some extensions. Well, about cost-based optimizations, like here, does the optimizer actually take the hints? If you take the analogy, if you have a like travel from Helsinki to Tallinn and we had a hint use tram, the tram goes to the ferry terminal but not to the airport. That if you specify a hint to use tram, does it give you, does it mean you should automatically then also use the ferry and not the airport and not the airplane? Or if there is a yes, hint decisions are local. So if they use a hint, if they see direction to do something, hints will hints code try to follow that and ignore the cost-based comparisons. But this doesn't mean that you will always get what you want. Because if you take, for example, another hint, travel and have beer before arrival, this you will, if you ask this question before, if the optimizer tries to use that while doing that, if he is taking a ferry, he can't do that. If one is taking a flight, they can't do that because they don't serve it on airplanes. It's the same goes with hints. Hints will try to, if the optimizer encounters a choice whether to use a hint, it will use them. But if the optimization process is such that there is no chance to follow the hint, the optimizer wouldn't do it. It wouldn't like plan ahead to meet the hint. There is no really, I don't think neither us nor MySQL provide exact definition what that means, other than saying hints are best effort. I think it's the same as in Oracle database. They have this careful wording that hints encourage the optimizer to pick certain query plan, but you don't have a guarantee. So if you're giving some hints, you might give some other hints as well to guide the optimizer along the whole path. Well, besides cost-based optimizations, there are some not cost-based optimizations that are not cost-based, which are done unconditionally, like merging subqueries or doing push down to derived tables. Here we again follow what MySQL did. Well, and disabling optimization makes sense. Well, just you tell the optimizer not to do that, and it wouldn't do that. I'm not sure what is the logic to enable them. The only like use case where it has any effect, I see that if you disable optimization in the with the optimizer switch or with a global setting, and then you want to enable it in some specific case, then that's the only case where this hint would have any effect. And for some reason, you can also do that with the index condition push down. You can disable it, and you could enable it on a case-by-case basis. But MySQL didn't provide ICP hint, so neither do we. Well, again, the only times I saw this switch use it is to do bug fixing and say debugging, so didn't really see demand for it. Then, for some reason, MySQL added a few other hints which look out of place here. There is a hint to set system variable. There is a hint to limit execution time. And MariaDB already had set statement syntax, and you could also set max statement time. But we still support this, for the sake of compatibility, set var and max execution time. The only thing we do not support is that MySQL has a concept of it can allow a query to be put in a resource group. MariaDB doesn't allow that, so that's why we don't have a resource group hint. Well, there was a discussion whether we should support it but have a dummy, but at the moment we don't have it. it's a comment, I remind. So if there is a failure in hint processing, it means that this hints will simply wouldn't get processed. The query would still run. Okay. Last but not least is QB name. Well, special hint, which we will discuss now in greater detail. QB name gathers query blocks, controls query blocks. Query block addressing, this concept seems to come from inherited from original implementation in the Oracle database. MySQL just well, I'm not sure if it's correct to say copied it, but well, also does it in a slightly different way. The idea is that you can define a query block name here in subquery, for example, subq1, and then you can refer to it from other select. Here you refer from top level select, but you can refer from pretty much anywhere. So this way hints can control behavior in different query blocks. You don't have to have explicitly specified names. You can have implicit names. Like here selects in MySQL and MariaDB optimizer, all selects have numbers. And so query blocks, the concept of query block is similar to select. So this way you can use implicit, you can use implicitly assigned name to control something. The use cases for this, well, you can tune everything in the query from one location, like here. You can just write a set of hints in one place, and that tunes all the aspects in the optimizer behavior. However, MySQL implementation has quite many limitations. Hints can't control anything inside views. Also, hints, if you specify hints in the view, they are ignored. Another problem is that query could be name hint has global visibility in the query. So if you are using if you have a large query and you're using the same name in multiple parts, there will be conflicts. Notice that this is unlike, for example, CT. If you define CT in one part of the query, then there are visibility rules that allow you to ignore that in other parts of the query. You can redefine them and then they mean different things. So this is bound to create conflicts for large queries or queries that are assembled from pieces by some ORM or something like that. And for example, this makes it could be named unusable if the CT is used multiple times. Implicit names like this, they work, but it's hard to scale them because for large query it gets quickly quite hard to see what the name would be. So we identified this problem in MariaDB in our implementation, but what to do with that? We found a possible solution in TIDB that they apparently have also encountered this, and here is an example how they solved it. So here we have a table T and we have a view V1 reading that, and then we have view V1 is read by view V2, and then we have the query using V2. And there they have extended QB name syntax where you define that I want select with this, I will use this name to refer to a query which is to something which is inside V2. Then I find select number 1 inside view V2, which is view V1. And then I find select number 1 inside V1. And then I find select number 1 in here. So this is this part. And then I can use that in my hint. You use that name to come up to refer to table T in that select. So it specifies this path through the views, and it also uses implicit names, but implicit names are limited to just one view definition and not global per query. So you don't need to go through all the views to go through all the views used by the query to counting numbers to find the to find the select you are using. This looks good. We are looking to implement this. Let's put it this way. Yeah. Another further direction. Can we use hints from saved query plans? We had this idea that if we produce a query plan, can we save the query plan as a set of hints? It turns out OracleDB was supporting this as stored outlines, so they have deprecated it long ago. In TIDB, they also support that, but don't talk about it. You can do explain format equals hint, and then you get a list of hints that, as far as I understand, would produce the query plan that you, given this query, produce this query plan. We have not committed to doing this yet, but this is, I think, an interesting direction. So that's the current status. So summary, MariaDB is getting new style hints. We introduced it in 12.0. 12.2 has a reasonably complete set. Hints are compatible with MySQL hints, even bug for bug compatible in some cases, but not in all cases. We also, MariaDB hints also cover MariaDB's optimizations. Query block addressing Canada, I think, should be improved. At the moment, Dave Gosling is working on getting implicit numbering done and looking at path syntax. And there's an open question whether we could or should use hints for saving query plans in the future. Hints in MariaDB, the people who were involved with Alex Smirnov were starting developing it. Alexander Barkov gave the parser for hint provided the parser for hint syntax. Dave Gosling joined the implementing more hints for various optimizations and looking at QB name, improving QB name now. Lena starts with doing testing and me doing code reviews and writing specs for the tasks. Well, that's all slides I had. If you have any questions, now we can discuss them.
I have a question. Is that set variable hint synonym for set variable for statement, or they're different?
Yes, they are the same thing. It sets the value of the variable for the duration of the statement.
So whenever it's used inside the query, it will be applied before the execution, right?
Yes, before the execution starts, and reset back.
Yeah, kind of global, not for block, for whole query.
Right. I'm not sure. I think MySQL actually disallows you to use, doesn't let you use that inside somewhere deep inside subquery. I'm not sure if MariaDB does, but in case it does, the processing is definitely global. You can't have that for a subquery.
Okay, so the other question, would it be maybe better to have explicit not only no, but also use and force prefixes? Like aliases for what we have now just without prefix depends on meaning. Because in one case it's mean force, in other case it mean use, which...
Well, I would be against adding the keyword force because we need to be compatible with MySQL and we don't want massive duplication. So if you have an index, we wouldn't want to have index T1 and force index T1 mean the same thing. Do you see what I mean? No.
Yes.
Use something is possible, I think, but so far we don't see demand. Do you see a lot of, or do you see ever somebody using use index hint?
Do we have? There is some.
Jean-Francois saying yes. Is that correct?
Yeah. My position is if nothing to use, nobody will use it.
Well, let's maybe we can reach out and read the manual for use and reach out to discuss it. This should be possible to add. If use index is usable, then yes.
So
One thing that I am. Go ahead.
Yes. So Alexander's question was about the set variable. Are all session variable settable this way with the set variable?
I think it's only system variables. I think it's only system variables. It's not arbitrary.
If it's the same as in set variable for statement, it's impossible to implement all variables because of some particularity. Some variables control how things parsed, and it's a bit too late to control it when it's already parsed. And there are some other limitations. So it's not whole set of system variables are controlled. They're like really easy and without bugs.
You can't have like set statement Oracle mode.
Yeah. The reason I'm asking is often you find a problem with a query, and then you find a session variable that fixes that problem, and you don't want to set it global. And if for any reason, like you're trying to fix your query with a set variable and it doesn't work, like this is super frustrating because you found a way by setting the session variable and then it doesn't work when you do it, and either you don't understand why. So
so it could be bug also. We have several bugs with it, and also it could be just impossibility to implement it. Probably in such cases we should somehow issue error or warning or something.
Yes,
so
a warning.
It's also could be also treated as a bug. So if you report it.
Well, it's just like I think the variables that cannot be set this way, like either the query should fail when you test it, or there should be a warning saying it's not possible to set this variable. Go read the manual to understand why, or something like this. Because like often, like you have a problem with a query, and that problem isn't found in test, like it's in prod, and you're in an outage situation, like really stressed. So that's one thing. And like a specific question, like the long query timeout can be set with this set variable, right?
I think so.
Yes.
It's not called long query timeout. It's called max statement, or what it is. Is it
max execution time? These are not the same.
Max statement time.
Yes. This is not what I want. What I want, like long query timeout is the global variable for enabling the slow query log. Same thing. You can set it as a session variable because a developer know like a developer has an expectation, like this query should run in 1 millisecond. So I want the long query timeout for this query to be 10 milliseconds. This query will run in 2 minutes. So I will set the long query timeout to 3 minutes for this query. And I don't want, like, if I set the global to 10 millisecond and the query that normally takes 2 minutes gets in my slow query log, like this is pollution. So I think earlier version of MySQL or MariaDB would not allow to set long query time per query, except setting the session variable. But setting the session variable is a round trip to the database. And some connectors in the application, like they don't want to set the query. They don't want to set that session variable. Like they just want to hint that this query should take less time. Well, I want to know by putting the query in the slow query log that this query, if it takes more than 10 milliseconds, and this other 100 milliseconds, and this other 1 minute. So if it's covered, then no problem with this. If it's covered with the set var, no problem. But if not, this is a very common use case I see.
Well, we need to verify that it does work, because we need to reset the value before we decide whether to log into this low query log. Make sure these things happen in the right order. Yes, but looks doable. Thanks for the input. Yeah, that I agree that's very like meaningful use case.
Yeah, I have another question, but I'll leave. I don't want to be the only one talking. I'll let others ask questions if they have, and if nobody talks in the 10 seconds, I'll ask my next question. Okay, it looks like it's me again. So max execution time only worked for select, right? I don't think it works for update, delete, and insert.
Can't say off the top of the head. Really? I don't know.
Well, it's because if you interrupt and insert and update, there's a question about, do you want to roll back the transaction, or do you just want to interrupt that statement? It would be useful to be able to set max update time. Like again, an application is doing an update and it expects it to be done. Like it's a web application. Like if it's taking more than 2 seconds, I want to notify the user. And if I'm blocked and I have no way of interrupting this update in the application, I'll just
Sorry.
I will just like forget about this connection. But like this is not a very, for the database, it's not very pleasant to have a zombie connection trying to do an update. So this is where like other situation is to have external out of bound monitor for these things that would kill the query. This is all tedious, because in the end, what I want to do is I want to kill this update and move on. So being able to do this without extra overhead, or the user just leaving the update be, and would be useful.
I see.
Yeah.
And you want, in that case, you want the statement to roll back, right? As if it was aborted, like not stop in the middle.
Well, so if you stop an update in the middle, like probably it's blocked on the log or something like this. I want this, like if there was a partial update done, I want the update to roll back. But just this update. And maybe I want, like, in a certain case, I might want the whole transaction to roll back. And in other cases, I want only this update to roll back. So I want basically to go to a save point before the update. Both as a developer and as a database user, I want to be able to choose which one will happen. And yeah, that would be like a really, so this is a feature we re-implement all the time, either using MariaDB or MySQL. Either we put a timeout on the socket, or either we just put a comment in the query and we have something reading the queries every second and killing the queries that needs to be killed. Vitess is basically doing this. Like Vitess is killing the queries that are taking more than 30 seconds by default. And Vitess could have a tuning just to put a hint to Vitess and say, okay, this query needs to be killed after 1 second. This query needs to be killed after 60 seconds. But I don't want this in Vitess. I want this in the database. I prefer not to have to build infrastructure around the database for a service that I think the database should provide.
I am afraid it will be really extremely maybe difficult to implement it in some non-standard way, like console only update. But as I remember, internally all this timeout served as an error happened somewhere. So this way it's possible, and then database will act depends on engine. As I remember, transactional engine will roll back transaction if transaction started. And actually it's rollback transaction in any case, and non-transactional. Okay.
Yeah. So like if we settle on something here is because I can implement this myself with the kill, like if I do out of bound killing that statement or killing that session, like these are the two features that I can use to kill a statement or to kill a session. Just removing the need to build this infrastructure and having a behavior like as if the session was killed or as if the statement was killed, like this would be good, because like this, I've implemented this in the past. I've seen this implemented in Vitess, and like it's somehow sad that infrastructure has to be made more complex for something that the database should provide.
And as I remember, actually internally, these timeouts made more or less equal to killing and kill thread as an error. So I am not 100% sure, but yes, just killing the statement, it would be like not a lot of work probably, but just more granular thing like cancel only this update without all transaction. It's probably something we have to change our handler interface probably for this.
Well, if it behaves like if a deadlock was detected and like this is already something people understand. If my query is causing a deadlock, one of the query will be killed. Well, if it behaves the same way, this is a behavior, like it's a behavior people should already be used to. So we're not introducing a new behavior. So that would be good.
Yes, actually, for me, it's surprised that it's work only for selects. Okay, I never looked in like in this part of the code like really thoroughly. So probably okay if you take token this yes, but I don't think it's really difficult to make it working with update or with everything else. Okay.
Thank you.
But doesn't
But
it help?
of course, I not promise to make it like tomorrow. I just talking about complexity of the task.
Well, it's not like earlier we had this, but if we have this in 1 year, it's already good, better than not having it. So
just out of curiosity, so doesn't it introduce the data integrity risk? Has been mentioned, so MySQL or MariaDB or whatever, it's pluggable storage engine, right? So that's mean the different tables involved in the statement can use a different engine. And if the transactional will be, partially persistent in non-transactional engine, and transactional part will be rolled back. So it's going to introduce the data inconsistency, and I'm not sure how application is going to handle that. So if talking about the kill, so my guess it's some simple tooling like for example, a Percona toolkit have ptkill or something like that. It's just, plain Python script, my guess, that you can run as a daemon and do whatever you want, do policies, whatever. But having this functionality for the DMLs inside the database server, it just, ruining some sort of the concept of the database integrity. It's just my opinion. Again, so sorry.
Well, so you're bringing a good point, Alexei. I think this problem already exists. Like if you do MyISAM, like in a transaction, MyISAM and InnoDB, you update MyISAM and then you update InnoDB. The update in InnoDB could trigger a deadlock, and that query can still be killed by InnoDB with deadlock detection. So you're completely right that there is integrity problem. But I think these problems are not new, and the developers that are using such transaction between two storage engines have already one foot in the problematic area. So because we're not introducing new problem, I don't think it is something that is so problematic. And obviously, I don't think it should be the same hint. Like it shouldn't be max execution time. It should be like DML max execution time. So people cannot use this by mistake. And the default for this should be infinite. Like the default for the database should be the current behavior. And if somebody wants to use this feature, like they shouldn't get the feature by magic. They should just enable the feature in their query or as a system variable or whatever. But it's like, and I understand as a database developer, people see this integrity problem. But as database user, we're faced with this all the time. I have an update that is taking more than 3 seconds. The application wants to go to do something else. And currently they just, like in the worst case, they just leave the transaction there. They just stop using that TCP connection and move on. And so the developer are doing this, and me as a database operator, I see these things. I need to kill them myself because I have an update stuck for 1 day in my database. And I would like a more predictive, a more usable way. But I understand it brings other problems.
Yeah. Problem is a little bit wider here, right? So the kill, it's like sign up from the user that he's going to use it on its own risk and completely understand the consequences of that, right? So if you have something like that implemented, like the hints, whatever variable, that's meaning database server functionality that consider it to be graceful. It's first thing. The second thing is just, referring to your example, it could be different cases. For example, open a transaction and never commit it or roll it back, which is going to, keep logs and doing all these kind of things. And in this case, this hint won't be applicable. So it's like, it's like chicken and egg, right? So this question, like mostly political, not technical. So I still prefer to have something like the kill and have some wrapper around that, right? So instead of giving the user the possibility to use like the built-in functionality of the database for the quite dangerous things, So again, it's just my opinion, my 2 cents. Thank you, much appreciated.
Good session, Sergey. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The MariaDB Foundation is the global contact point for collaboration on MariaDB server. Our work is made possible thanks to the support of our sponsors.